And now, here's your host of Shaping Success, Wes Tankersley.
What is up, everyone? Welcome to Shaping Success. I'm your host, Wes Tankersley. Welcome to the new format. This is our show on the Independent Entertainment Network, the network that we have created. Today we have a great guest. His name is Bo Skitsko. He's a trainer, an author, and he's got a lot of things going on that are really great. I just want to introduce him. Here we go. Bo, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Wes.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time. You know, I've been listening to a few interviews and kind of following you along and seeing some of the things you're doing, and I really think it fits the show. Like I told you, the show is called Shaping Success, and we just talk about just building success and what it looks like for every single individual, as I think it's different. Can you give us just a little bit of background on where you're from and kind of how you got here?
Yeah, well, again, thank you for having me on the show. My background, I was born in Ukraine, and about 11 or so years, I immigrated to America and kind of pursued for a better life, land of opportunities, right? A better life for my wife, for me, for my kids. The kids were born here, but for my future family, you know. Immigrated here, and I got a little bit of a taste for opportunity. There's actually things I can do. I can make a change in my family, in my own life, in the community's life. I can actually contribute to many people's lives and influence them to become better in whatever success means to them. And that's where I became a trainer, and then from trainer went slightly into mindset when I wrote a book, because I think it goes hand in hand, mental strength and physical strength. So that's kind of my background.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I really like. I was listening to a previous interview where you talked about it's kind of mind over matter. You have a podcast, and your book is called Stay Sore. Can you kind of talk about that mentality a little bit?
Right here, if you can see it. Stay sore. Yeah, so, there's a lot of lessons you can learn in the gym that will then apply to real life. In the gym, if you don't make it uncomfortable, your body has absolutely no reason to change. Your body just goes, oh, I know this stuff, and then it's done. But if you make it uncomfortable, if you put yourself into a new situation where your body's, let's just call it struggling a little bit, then it has a reason to change, to become better, to become stronger. Quite often that's supported by soreness, right? You hit a hard workout, you get sore, and then you become better the next day. So, but that same thing applies in real life. If you're staying comfortable, if you live the soft life, then all you have is just either being okay with it or complaining that why is this person so lucky and I'm not? And it has nothing to do with luck. It's just having something to do with hard work. How uncomfortable did you get to where you want to be? Meaning, put in the work, get a little sore, get a little uncomfortable, and then watch the results come.
And I love the fact that you talk about that in the gym, because that is something, and you kind of hit on it a little bit, but that is something in life. In order to be better, in order to get good at anything, you have to be willing to be uncomfortable. You know, you talked about your immigrating from the Ukraine. Was that an uncomfortable situation for you when you came here? What made you, you had to get out of your comfort zone to get here. What just, you said you wanted to come for the land of opportunity. How was that when you got here?
Well, there's many different things. Number one, I just knew like 3-4 sentences in English, right? Like, where's the restroom? How are you doing? And asking somebody for direction was already challenging, right? So 11 years ago, I didn't speak English, and now I'm having an interview with you. About 1 or 2 years into my journey, I was dreaming about things like, maybe one day if I learn English good enough, I could be like a cashier at Walmart or something, simply because that's easier than like cleaning toilets, which was my first job, because you don't need to speak English when you clean toilets, right? And then I upgraded from toilets to like driving around doing delivery and doing some construction work. Those are all jobs that don't require you to speak English. So I took them because they kind of pay a little bit, right? So, but then I figured, okay, if I stay comfortable, meaning I take these jobs that don't require me to speak English, I will never level up. I will never grow. So I, on purpose, took a really, let's just call it sucky job that forced me to talk all the time. And that was like baptism by fire. And now I can have a conversation with you in English, and I'm actually an author in English, which is kind of, I'm still blowing my own mind, meaning like not in a proud way, but like, hey, you can actually accomplish things if you push.
Yeah, and that trial by fire thing is kind of great because you don't really have that option, right? You have to just get in there and go. And that job was, weren't you working at like a fast food restaurant? Is that what it was?
Yeah. I'm not sure if I should mention where, but yeah, I was making sandwiches. But the hardest thing is when they put me on the phones to like take deliveries on the phone. I don't even know how addresses work here in America at that point, and they just, there's the zip code, there's the number, there's the street, and there's avenues, roads, streets, boulevards, and I'm like, whoa. And then I have to take the credit card information through the phone. Every time I screw up an order, I have to pay it from my own paycheck. So baptism by fire, that's how you learn English. Too many people are too comfortable or having too much of a safety net, which if you have a safety net, you're not pushing. But if you have no plan B, plan A has to work.
And you know more than just English, right? And your native tongue, right? You have a couple
Yeah,
other
I speak
languages.
5 languages. I'm blessed to say I speak 5 languages.
Is there any reason why you speak 5 languages? Was that something that in school they taught you?
So a little more background story. For 7 years, I lived as a child. My parents were studying in Germany, and I lived there as a child from grade 1 through 7, and I learned German. It was almost like my uh, mother language because I was still a child. So I just picked it up naturally. There's a fly flying around here, sorry. But I picked up German, and then I was born in Ukraine. When I was born, it was still Soviet Union for 3 years. So now you know how old I am. But so I still had to pick up Russian. So I picked up Russian, Ukrainian because I'm Ukrainian, German because I lived there 7 years, a little bit of English because now I'm trying to, like, I'm a guest speaker and stuff and an author, so I probably have to speak English, and I speak fluently sarcasm.
Oh, so yeah, sarcasm. That's a good one.
That's,
That's
you know what? That's the old universal language to get over some discomfort and learning another language, communicating with people and stuff. So you gotta have that a little bit.
which language was the easiest to learn?
Sarcasm. I
Sarcasm.
think it's genetic.
It goes across all barriers.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I was born with that, so that was a built-in feature.
So talk a little bit about what you do for a day on a daily basis. You're a trainer, right? How does that work
Yeah.
out for you?
So I like to say I change lives for a living. Um, I started off as a trainer. Again, I that was a great way to learn English. The whole like manual to become a certified personal trainer, and then later on I studied exercise science in college. But the whole manual, like a thick book of 800 pages, I was reading with a dictionary. That's partially how I learned English. And then long story short, I became the master trainer in a big box gym, and I decided I need to do it my way, the way I believe is ethically the most correct way to do so. I feel comfortable that I'm giving people the best I can. It's not just about signing contracts. So I opened my own fitness studio, and it has been going for 4 years now. And I'm actually really blessed to say it's going amazing. It's going great. I get to do what I believe in, help others, and share some love.
And you don't have machines in your gym, right?
Yes, I have. My clients are machine. No, I'm just kidding. It's. I believe there's still a fly here. I'm so sorry.
Oh,
This
you're
is
good.
this is funny, but I believe in functional training. We have what you could maybe consider machines, some cable stuff, and but I believe that if you work out, unless you're like, let's say, a bodybuilder or something, where looks are more important than how you function, which totally fine. Whatever you're into, I'm helping you to get where you want to be. Like you said, success is something different to each person. But
Right.
I believe that working out should help you in real life situations. It should make your everyday life better. So everyday life is not sitting in a comfortable machine and letting the machine control your move. It's either controlling your body or controlling external equipment, external objects, right? So kettlebells, dumbbells, balls, sandbags, and barbells, stuff like that. So I think learning to move through space is more important than sitting on a comfortable machine. And again, more discomfort causes more success, in my personal humble opinion.
Right. Now, do you consider kind of like what you do? Is it similar to like a CrossFit training, or is it more of a little in between that and kind of traditional training?
I get that question a lot because we have it. It looks similar, but one side looks like CrossFit, the other side looks like physical therapy, and I think it's a nice mix of both because I have hip replacements, knee replacements, post surgery, post disease. We have all kinds of things going on. So I would like to think it's a cross and like in the middle, with the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
A little bit of intensity, but also being smart and helping people heal after things.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I've talked to a couple different trainers and they all kind of have their different ideas of what that should look like. How do you approach each individual? Obviously, it sounds like there's no cookie cutter approach.
Never.
Do you meet with them and adjust their training based on how they are? Talk about that process a little bit.
It's a evolution of experience and knowledge. What I mean is, when I first started being a trainer, I went by textbook. These are the 5 steps I need to do. I take your body fat, I gauge I check out your gait, how you walk. I do like FMS, how your legs move, how your arms move, all that stuff, which is good. It gives you a baseline. But after 10 years or so, you build up some experience, and now somebody walks in. I can already tell that one foot is slightly turned to the left, but the other one's staying straight. I can tell that one shoulder is a little higher, and I can already kind of build a picture. By the time you walk in here, I kind of know what you probably are dealing with, and then I talk to you for 5-10 minutes. I found more, and that's where I start like creating a plan. And with each workout, the plan's going to change because I'm going to learn more about you physically, but as well as what's your comfort level. How much can I push you? How much can I get out of you? Do you even need to be pushed right now? Maybe right now you just need to like stop having anxiety about going to the gym for the first time. So whatever the situation is, never cookie cutter.
Yeah, and I love that. I think that, it sounds like you've come a long way in learning how to do things. I'm assuming that in the big box gym that you were talking about, that was kind of the way it was. It's like, do this, do this, do this, and then train them this way because that's what you need. You need results. You need to see the body fat change. You need to see the weight go down. You have all these different things that you probably have to hit because you want to consistently bring people in. Do you kind of pick and choose the clients that you work with? Have you ever had to like fire a client?
Good question. That's a good one. You know what? In my now over 10 years of experience in the fitness industry, I had only one situation where it wasn't like a bad client or anything. There's never a bad client or a bad trainer. Well, it just didn't click. She didn't like the music. She didn't like my approach. She whatever. So I just said, hey, I think this is not the best fit for both of us. And I literally gave her 5 phone numbers of trainers that are working that I know in the area. And I just said, hey, these are good guys. I know them. 2 girls, 3 guys. I know those trainers. They're fantastic. Maybe you'll just click on a personal level better with them. That was the only situation, and I felt very guilty. I felt like maybe that was my mistake. But over the years, I learned that there's different personalities, and sometimes it just doesn't click.
Yeah, and that's a tough one. That's with anything. I don't know that we've discussed this before, but I was a physical education teacher previously. I sell window coverings now, but that's the same way with kids. It's like there's just some kids that just don't fit in your class. You can do everything you want, but in the end of the day, it may be better for them. They may get more out of it elsewhere. And
yeah, true. It's painful because if you truly care, you kind of blame yourself. But you have to understand that maybe there's somebody who can help this person more. You have to get your ego out of the way and do what's right for the person.
Yep. Well, let's talk about your book a little bit. You mentioned that you wrote it in English, and that was pretty tough to do. Tell us a little bit about your book.
So at that point, I don't think English was that tough. That was 2019. It was published. Stay Sore. So what I did was I kind of took my own experiences as an immigrant, as a father and husband, and as well as a trainer and business owner. And I created lessons that apply to everything. And like, if this happens in the gym and you do this to fix it, you can do the same thing in real life and with any problem, right? So um, same thing with the immigrant story, like what I just told you about learning English. And the whole book is pretty much about how I did something uncomfortable to become better, and then it wasn't actually that bad, kind of thing. So it's a
I,
mindset book. It's a
I
mindset book, how to get over the fear of change.
and I really like it because you've talked about like it's kind of your life mantra, staying sore, whereas you
Mhm.
do get uncomfortable because that's the reminder that you need to continue to do it and push forward. How long
So,
did it? Go ahead.
sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, how long did it take you to write it, and how was that process for you?
So I had somewhat of a unique approach to writing it, but there was people that helped me a little bit with like editing and changing things up, checking my grammar, and but you know what I did the most? In the Notes app on your phone, I would just like literally talk to my phone, like speech to text, and it would type it out.
Uh
And I
huh.
would every time I have an idea, I would be afraid to miss the idea, so I would just talk into my phone, and I would have the text there, and then I would just place it and edit it a little bit. So about like one third to one half of the book was literally written by the Notes app in my phone.
That's pretty neat. I listen to Adam Carolla quite a bit, and he talks about that's kind of the same way that he's written a lot of his books. He's
Mhm.
got like 7 or 8 books, and for someone who doesn't want to sit down and type everything out, I mean it just makes it easier. Your thoughts are in your mind. You can edit your thoughts after you put them down on paper, but at least they're there.
Yeah, and people make things too complicated. Just go and do with everything in life. And same thing here. Like writing a book seems like such a crazy journey, but like honestly, just start with one thing: talking to your phone. Anyone can do that. Like a lot of it was written in gyms. Like I do a set of deadlifts, and then whoa, I have a crazy idea. I
Yeah.
need to like record it really quick between sets. I look like that jerk who is like texting and playing on their phone between sets, but I don't care. I'm writing a book. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's using your time wisely.
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah. That's Tim Ferriss says, "Don't be busy, be productive," and I believe in that. I could listen to music and get hyped, or I can just decide that I'm gonna lift as heavy as I can without the music, while listening to a lecture or to another book or something like that. You know. And then the PR comes with music, obviously. When you hit your heaviest set, you got to put on a
Oh yeah.
nice beat drop. But other
Yep.
than that, if you warm up, listen to something that makes you smarter or just feel better.
Yep. So you have a podcast and you're doing some speaking stuff. So can you they kind of go hand in hand, I feel like,
Yeah, yeah.
doing a little bit of both. Your podcast is very informational. Let's talk about that first. What are you trying to get at with your podcast? What are you trying to help other people understand and find?
How deep do you want me to go into the mindset of the podcast?
Ah, let's go
A little
mid
bit,
level.
mid level. Okay, so
Okay.
I started the podcast during the lockdown last year, 2020. When my gym got locked down, that's a whole different story. But I needed to do something to help people live a happier and healthier life, right? Because all this fear in the news, but nobody once said something about how to actually be healthy. Hey,
Right.
get some vitamin D, get some zinc, work out, move. If you're depressed and stuck at home, maybe you should start working out and moving. That will help your depression. That will help you feel better, more confident, better about yourself. And that was kind of making me mad and pissing me off that all this stuff and nobody was willing to help people. So I wanted to put out information. This is what's health. This is what's diet. This is what's nutrition. This is how you move. This is how you work out. This is how you don't freak out. This is how you deal with diabetes, overweight. This is how you deal with depression, anxiety. And I speak from myself. There's a lot of solo podcasts, but there's also like I invite doctors, gynecologists, nutritionists, psychiatrists, all this stuff. I felt the obligation to like not be a victim of my closed gym and but going out and helping people, and it just caught on, and now I keep going with the podcast.
And when does that drop? Is this a weekly thing, or how often do you try to record that?
The idea is every Wednesday, YouTube and as a video podcast, but as well as like Stay Sore on any podcast platform out there. But honestly, once in a blue moon, I skip a Wednesday when I'm too busy with business and family and stuff. So right now we're recording this on a Wednesday, and there's no podcast today. But
Oh,
I messed up. I skip once in a while, but usually on Wednesdays.
yeah. Well, that's great though. You get it out there weekly or try to. People need
I
to take
try to. I
breaks.
try to.
It's one of those things where it's really tough. My recording schedule, I have a day job as well, so it's kind of like it's trying to figure that out where it fits and it is a tough. So I applaud you for even just getting that done when you're running your own business and you're trying to keep that stuff going, keep it afloat.
Yeah,
It's
thank you. It's tough. It's to anyone who's listening, recording any kind of stuff, podcast, YouTube videos, whatever. It's so much mental work, and then the editing and thinking. There's the fly again. But all that stuff, that's so much work. There's so much behind the scenes work. Like I applaud any creator.
Yeah, and it's definitely a lot easier when you're on the other end of it, when you're getting interviewed versus having to do the interview because you just get to come talk. We got to do the
Yes. I
background work
love when I
after.
have guests on my podcast. That's the easiest. But like creating something from nothing for the next 20, 30 minutes is tough.
Yep. Yeah. So, and then your speaking engagements, how are those going for you? You mentioned that one of the things that I really like is you talked about COVID and you tried to find something more to do. I'm assuming that the speaking engagements kind of dried up a little bit too. Are you getting out and getting to do that more now that they're
I just got booked mid of November again, so it's starting to slowly pick up again. But the interesting thing is, I do mostly speaking with students. A lot of professors invite me to encourage students to do something. It kind of became like a relationship with different colleges and career centers here around my area, where let's say you're a student and you want to be a physical therapist or personal trainer, and let's say your professor teaches you exercise science, right? And the students think, well, this professor, he doesn't have a gym. He's not a trainer. He doesn't even train people. Can he teach me? And that's where I come in, and they invite me, and I start speaking to them and explaining how I do things in the studio and how I build my business and stuff. And they start understanding, ooh, you actually do need to know the things that the professor teaches you, right? And then in my studio here, I invite professors to speak to my clients because, yeah, it's easy for you to say what I should eat and do. It's easy for you because you're fit, working out is your profession. But when a professor comes in and actually tells my client what to eat, then they'll listen. Ooh, it's a professor. It's coming from a professor. So we have this relationship. You know what I mean?
yeah. It's always tough because I think that, for a long time in this country, I'm 40, so I've been through kind of a few different things. I'm not that old, but like when I graduated from high school, it was you need to go to college, you need to get a degree, okay? And then I spent, 11 years changing tires. I failed out of college the first time, and I spent 11 years changing tires. And that whole 11 years, it was like push, push, push. Everyone's going to college. Everyone's going to college. Everyone's going to college. They're all going to go get this communications degree that doesn't do anything for them later on in life. And we're finding out that education isn't the best education. And so it's
I
kind of
couldn't
this
agree more.
school of
I,
life.
Yes, I mean, if you want to be a lawyer, a doctor, stuff like that, you got to go to college. Maybe engineer, right? You need to go to college. But there's so many things where it's almost like a scam. I really hope people are not going to take it the wrong way. I think education is important, yes, but you get locked into that student debt, right? The loan, you can't even go bankrupt. You can't.
Right.
It's gonna chase you for the rest of your life. Just make sure you know why you're going to college and what you want to get out of it. Because most millionaires are dropouts. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I read an article today that was saying that these group of kids coming up are going to be the entrepreneurial group because they're realizing that they don't need that. They don't need to be able to do that. This is where, the social media aspect of it, the influencer aspect of it, all the things that you can do without an education and still be successful, make money. It's coming from a place where you don't have to have an education. I wouldn't take my education back because now I have a master's degree. I went back to college and I powered through it. And in the 4 years that I taught school, because, that's one of those jobs where if you want to be a teacher, you have to have an education.
Yeah, yeah.
The 4 years where I taught school, I got my master's degree and I just, I wouldn't take it back. I learned a lot of things. I learned how to talk better. I learned how to write better. I learned all those things that are necessary, but I didn't really need it,
Yeah, and to be super honest and open to with your listeners, when I was transitioning from being the master trainer at the big box gym to opening my own studio, I went to college for the credibility, to even just to like be comfortable myself. I felt in the beginning, and I'm still struggling with that sometimes. I felt like I'm not good enough. Who are you to own a business? Who are you to tell others what to do? Who are you to start something from nothing? So I went to college to kind of prove it to myself and like, okay, I have a degree. Now I'm probably worth something, and maybe people gonna come to my business. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was that. I'm glad I did it because now I have a piece of paper. But
It's an expensive piece of paper.
it is an expensive piece of paper. It's there and I can talk about it. But honestly, in the 10 years, probably two people asked me about my degree, like client wise. Nobody cares. If I produce results, if I have amazing reviews online, if people talk about me, if the community knows me, if I post before and after pictures on my social media for my gym, nobody asks about the degree. Uh, Tell me one topic that you cannot learn on YouTube.
Yes, this is very true. I cannot.
See? Exactly, exactly. You can learn how to be a trainer. I mean, there's good and bad channels, but after 3 videos, you'll figure out if that's a good channel or a bad channel, right? So when I opened the business, I'm not handy at all. I should be. I'm from Ukraine. I'm not handy at all. When I opened the business, everything from putting mirrors on the walls so they don't fall down and kill somebody to anything else, like the setting up the business, the legalities, accounting, everything. YouTube. I learned everything from YouTube, step by step. I learned from YouTube way more than from college. I hope no. I hope my professor is not watching it. I mean, there's times where you need to go to college, but you can learn it yourself.
Yeah, and I think that, I mean, even if your professor is listening, I think that he's probably smart enough to understand that that is true. I think
I love
it's
my
really hard.
professors.
Yeah, I had great professors as well, and it's one of those things. But I just don't. I mean, there is not really anything that I've ever learned to do that I couldn't do by just getting that experience. And help me writing another paper about it or taking a math class or anything like that wasn't going to make me better. You have to practice what you're doing, and once you do
Yeah.
that, you practice that, you learn over and over again. If you had one piece of advice to give someone about going into your field or goals or just reaching out and trying to be successful in whatever it would be, what would that be?
Uh, Better done than perfect. Meaning, if you're waiting for something to be perfect, you're not gonna do it, right? Just do it and pivot. If it does work, pivot, make it better. But just start whatever it is, working out, starting a business, starting anything. But just yeah, I know the fly's flying
It's
around.
okay.
There's
It's
one
all right.
fly,
I'm just
but
laughing
it's
because I remember
driving
at
me
the
nuts.
beginning, you're like, if that lands on my nose, and then it's landed on your nose a couple
I
times.
know a few times now. It actually landed right in front of my camera, but I like underneath the camera, moved my finger so it
Yeah.
like flies away. But better done than perfect. Start. It's not that difficult. Don't be afraid. Everyone's so afraid about the outcome. If I do this, what's gonna? Nothing is gonna happen. Just go do it. Like action is more than knowledge, almost always. People wait for like, if I would only know a little more, what's the secret to losing weight? If I would only have nutrition knowledge, you shouldn't eat sugar and you should move more. Action is more important than knowledge, almost always. Not always, but almost always.
Yeah, and you'll never get there. I was a baseball coach, and I always say this to the kids. It's like you can't get in the game by sitting in the dugout. You have to be
There you
up,
go.
ready to go. You can't get on first base if you don't swing at the ball. Or
Yeah,
I mean, there's
yeah.
there's all kinds of different things that you can do, but it's really in your control, and you can sit there and wait for the perfect situation to happen. But like you said, you got to stay sore. You got to get uncomfortable in order to make it happen.
Your first step is already going to teach you more than you waiting and trying to like learn from a textbook on how to do that. You take your first step and you're already going to learn so much more. And then the second step you learn even more, and then the third step you learn something that wasn't even the textbook. So one step at a time, one rep at a time. I always say here in the gym, one rep at a time. You can do one,
Yep.
and then you can do just one more.
Yep. Well, before we get to the last question, because I have one last question I always ask everyone. Let's just talk about where people can find you. Where's the best place to look you up on social media, find a book, anything you want to plug? Go ahead and do that for me.
Yeah, the book is on Amazon, just Amazon, Stay Sore. You can Kindle, paperback, and you can even hear my amazing accent in a Audible version. So I went to the studio. I had a massive headache reading my book for 8 hours for a few days. But it's authentic. It's me. And so yeah, Amazon.com, and then you guys find Stay Sore, and then social media is Bo_Skitsko. Bo_Skitsko. Instagram and Facebook would probably be better. And then there's a few other ones where I check in once in the blue moon. And then, or email me at boskitsko@gmail.com.
Yeah, and it's great to hear that the book is on audio, because I think that the majority of the authors that I've interviewed, they don't have it on audio. And that, like, for my job, I drive around all day, every day. I don't have time to sit down and read something, but I'll listen. And that's what I love podcasts
Exactly.
for.
And that's the thing. Don't do the thing that everyone does. Get one extra step, get a little more uncomfortable, and maybe more people will listen to your book.
Well, I really appreciate you, sharing your story with us. I think it's very inspirational, and I'm glad that you took the time to come on here. The last question that we always ask, the show is called Shaping Success, which stemmed from a childhood thing that I went through when a kid told me he was going to be twice as successful as me when he grew up. And I thought, how can you decide that? So the question is how would you define success? What is the shape of your success?
Oh, that's a deep one. Like you said, success is different for everyone. If somebody's sick, success is just being normal, right? Getting back to normal. If somebody is, I don't know, a Christian, success is salvation. If somebody's a real Christian, success is helping others. If somebody, to me, it's I don't know. I hate personally me being mediocre.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to be able to help others in making money, making money, building a business by helping others. Money never comes first, but if you help others, you can pay your bills.
I love it. I think that that's a big thing, and that's why I do what I do as well, because I think that teaching others and helping others to be better is where it's at.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, thanks for taking the time to be on here. It was a really great interview. I look forward to watching how this works out for you and how your path unravels, because I think that you've got a lot to give. So thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Yep. All right, everyone. Well, that is the end of the show. Until next time, I challenge you to find the shape of your success.